أم كنتم شهداء إذ وصاكم الله بهذا
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, distinguished brothers and sisters in Islam. May Allah the Almighty continues to guide us. This is the 11th clip which is discussing some of the misconceptions about Islam. We have talked about the battles fought by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we didn't see anywhere where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam forced anybody to embrace Islam. Neither the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam nor any rightly guided Muslim forced anybody to embrace Islam. No. And we established facts too in the previous clips that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam fought those people in different battles because they were oppressing the Muslims, not because they were not Muslims. Don't always forget this. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam fought them not because they were not Muslims. He fought them because they were tyrants. They were persecuting him and the Muslims. They didn't want Muslims to practice the religion of their choice. That was why the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam fought them. Now, this clip will begin to discuss whom an enemy is, according to the standpoint of Islam. An enemy is someone who persecutes Muslims. An enemy is that person who oppresses Muslims. An enemy is someone who do not want Muslims to practice the religion of their choice. That person is an enemy. It could be a Muslim, it could be a Jew, the person could be a Christian, it could be a pagan or a free thinker or whomsoever it may be. If that person do not want Muslims to practice the religion of their choice, that person is an enemy. If he is fighting them, he is persecuting them on the account of their religion, that person is an enemy to the Muslims. And it's no more than this. Allah the Almighty says in the glorious Quran that La yanhakumullahu anil lazina lam yuqatilukum fid din. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do not prevent you from relating with those who do not fight you on account of your religion. Those who do not persecute you because you are Muslims, because you are upholding the religion to the religion of Islam. Those who do not fight you on this account, then you can relate with them. You can do anything as you can do to your Muslim brothers and sisters with them. But the following verse says that Innama yanhakumullahu anil lazina qatalukum fid din. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevents you to relate and to be friendly with those who fight you on account of your religion. Those who persecute you just because you are Muslims. Those who oppress you just because you choose Islam as your religion or as the faith of you, then that person is a great enemy to any Muslim. And this is how Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam lived his life. They didn't live their life persecuting people or killing people just because they were not Muslims. No, it's not any Muslim or any non-Muslim that is an enemy. An enemy is the person who have defined to you. Is the one who do not want Muslims to practice the religion of their faith, of their choice. That person is an enemy. And that is all about whom an enemy is in the Sharia of Islam. Now, if you look at the history of Islam, you will see that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent Mu'az ibn Jabal, one of his companions, and Abu Musa al-Ashari, and some other companions to the Christians of the Yemen. He sent them to the Christians of the Yemen in order to preach to them so that they will accept Islam. And when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sending Mu'az and Abu Musa on different occasions to Yemen, he said to Mu'az in one of the occasions that innaka taqudamu ala qawmi min alil kitab. you are going to preach to the people of the book, the first thing you should invite them to should be testifying that there is no deity deserved to be worshipped except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That should be the first duty you do in the Yemen. Now the point here is that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent preachers to Yemen. Why didn't he send war generals like Khalid ibn Walid and other people who are very strong in the battlefield to Yemen? The answer is too simple. Because the Christians of the Yemen did not fight the Prophet ﷺ on account of his religion, and the Christians of the Yemen did not collaborate with any enemy, any person who was fighting Muslims or persecuting Muslims or oppressing Muslims in any way. And that was why the Prophet ﷺ sent preachers to them, that these preachers should go and preach to them. And he lined up what you call their cause to them. That the first thing you invite them should be testifying that there is no deity deserved to be worshipped except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If they accept that, tell them about 5 daily prayers. If they accepted that, then tell them about almsgiving, that is zakah. Now you can see in one of the narrations too, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sending Abu Musa and Maaz to Yemen, he told them that Bashira wala tunafira, and give them glad tidings and do not send them away. Do not be harsh with them. Be simple and be lenient with them. That is one of the things the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told these messengers or these people when he was sending them to the Christians of Yemen. Now, why did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam treated these people like this? The Christians of the Yemen. If fighting or spreading Islam has to do with fighting, or has to do with, or Islam was spread by sword, as some people are ignorantly saying, then why Prophet ﷺ did not fight the Christian of the Yemen? This is a big challenge to the people who are holding to this destructive view. Another thing again is that when the Prophet ﷺ arrived to Medina, we have mentioned it in one of the previous clips, he sat down with the Jews of Banu Nadir, Jews of Banu Qaynuqa and Banu Qurayza, the pagans of the Medina, and the minority Christians in Medina. He sat down together with them and he wrote what is known in the history of Islam as the Constitution of Medina. Don't forget, it was the Constitution of Medina which the Jews violated or betrayed, and the Prophet ﷺ sent them away from Medina. Now, what the point we are trying to make here is that if Prophet Muhammad ﷺ will spread Islam by sword or will force people to embrace Islam, what is the essence of gathering these people to write a constitution or a treaty that will allow them live together in the city of Medina? It was written in that constitution of Medina that Muslims are free to practice their religion, Jews are free to practice their religion, and no one will be forced to embrace any other religion except by his wills. Don't forget, one of the reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this verse, La ikra'a fid din, there is no compulsion in the religion of Islam, was when Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent the Jews away from Medina, and the last set of the Jews that will leave Medina because they betrayed this constitution of Medina, some Arabs, especially women, who vowed before during Jahiliyyah period. We told you that during Jahiliyyah period, an Arab woman, if she has not been blessed with any child, and then she will vow that if I am blessed with child, I will give that child to the Jews, and then the Jews will bring the child up, meaning that the Jews will train the child. So some of these children like this, brought up by the Jews, were with the Jews. So when the Jews were leaving Medina, these women called upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the Jews cannot leave Medina with their children. Then they will force them to embrace Islam so that they will leave the Jewish religion. And then Allah revealed this verse that there is no compulsion in the religion. So if the wish of the Prophet ﷺ was to spread Islam by sword or through what we call force, what is the essence of him sitting down with these people in Medina? What is the essence? This is to tell you that those assertions are not correct at all. Then the Prophet ﷺ, in many instances, especially during the Battle of Hunain, the Prophet ﷺ sought the assistance of non-Muslims. Let's start from the beginning. When the Prophet ﷺ was leaving Mecca for Medina and when he was migrating, you know that he and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu left Mecca for Medina. And because the Quraysh powers have declared them wanted, there was no way they could follow the right route from Mecca to Al-Madinah. So they have to follow an alternative route which the Quraysh may not dictate. And they are not conversant with those routes. So the Prophet ﷺ employed a polytheist by name Abdullah ibn Urayqit to lead them. And this man led them until they got far away from the territory of the Quraysh, and then they started going to Al-Madinah. This man was a polytheist, and the Prophet ﷺ sought his help. This is to tell you that the people he fought in the Badr, in the Uhud, in the Khandak, and all other battles he fought, he did not fight them because they were not Muslims. And he didn't hate them because they were not Muslims. He hated them because they were persecuting the religion of Islam, and any person who does that is an enemy to the Muslims, whomsoever he may be. Then the Prophet ﷺ, as we mentioned, during the Battle of Hunain, some non-Muslims participated in the Battle of Hunain with the Prophet ﷺ, and they even rendered him assistance of war, weapons. People like Safwan ibn Umayyah and Su'al ibn Amr, who were polytheists by then, participated in the Battle of Hunain. They helped Prophet ﷺ in fighting the Jews. The Jews were not Muslims too. These people were not Muslims. They knew that the Prophet ﷺ was going to fight these people. If they knew that the Prophet ﷺ was going there to spread Islam, why should they follow him? And because they knew that the Prophet ﷺ was going there to fight for justice, and that is why they followed him. The fighting of the Prophet ﷺ was not done on account of religion. It was done on the account of justice and injustice. Any person who is just, that person is a friend of the Prophet ﷺ. But any person who is not just, then the person is an enemy. That person is an enemy of the Muslims. Any person who fights Muslims. That was why you can see that in the authentic hadith transmitted by Imam Muslim, Anas bin Malik said that the Prophet ﷺ, up to the time he died, had non-Muslim neighbors. Non-Muslim neighbors were the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. One of them was not even a Jew or Christian or a polytheist, a Zoroastrian, a Majus, fire worshipper, people that worship fire. This man, according to this hadith, authentic hadith of Imam Muslim, Anas bin Malik said that sometimes this man will prepare a meal and will invite the family of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ for this meal, and the Prophet will go and eat this meal together with him in his house. I mean, in the house of these non-Muslims. So this is to tell you that the Prophet ﷺ did not fight his battles in order to force people to embrace Islam. If he fought those battles in order to force those people to embrace Islam, then why don't he force his neighbors to embrace Islam? Up to the time he died. It is also authentic that the Prophet ﷺ's shield, war garment, was with a Jew up to the time he died. The Prophet ﷺ showed us there that we can relate with these Jews, we can relate with non-Muslims, we can relate with people who are not Muslims. That was why he did this transaction with the person, not because the Prophet ﷺ lacked what to eat or what he will use together with his family. The big lesson he wanted teaching us is what we are discussing now. Then the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ didn't fight anybody because the person was not a Muslim. No, he didn't fight any clan because they were not Muslims. He fought them because they were persecuting Muslims. They were tyrants towards Muslim community. They didn't want Muslim and Islam to have peace. And that was why the Prophet ﷺ fought them. So it is clear now that the battles of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ were all defensive. He didn't fight anyone in offensive manner, and he didn't force anybody to embrace Islam. He didn't fight his battle to spread Islam, but he fought those battles in order to spread justice, and justice must reign. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us, and may Allah be with us. Inshallah, we'll meet in another clip where we'll discuss some of the misconceptions about Islam again. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
أم كنتم شهداء إذ وصاكم الله